Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gundam.my. I'm your host Abdurrahman as always, and today I am excited to review the new MG Gundam Base Limited Sinanju. Now this Sinanju is also a clear version of the previous MG Sinanju. Now it is Gundam Base Limited and I cannot wait. It is one of my most favorite Gundams in the entire franchise. Really, I cannot wait to review this entire kit overall. So here is the manual, quite explicit and detailed. It even has a part of which it tells you about the Sinanju. So without wasting any more time, let's head into it. So how fitting that the first ever MG that I review for this channel is the MG Sinanju. Now as you can see, the clear parts are really nice, and here is the shield itself. I particularly don't like the colorization of the clear. It doesn't look that nice, especially that white on the Sinanju. Would it be preferred like some sort of blue or gray? A little bit of colorization would be nice. Now everything is almost the same as the MG Sinanju. Nothing of the difference. Is the same bazooka, is still the same beam rifle. It's almost as if like it is basically the same kit from the MG Sinanju, and they brought it into the Gundam Base Limited. So really there's no difference between the beam rifle, the grenade launcher, and even the ginormous scope that you can modify it into multiple forms. You can even do the scope in a way that you can attach it to the bazooka itself. As you can see, you can just attach it right there. So I'm just gonna explain you the armaments first, then I'll head to the model itself, because the weapons and the effects on this specific kit is quite a hefty amount. So as you can see, here are some of the extra sprues you'll be getting. Now those joints, now the first sprues that you see is actually part of the shield. Now here comes the beam the beam axis, as you can see. I like to call the beam axis, and it can actually be combined into the double edge axe. So there's two types of effects. There's the smaller version and the larger version, and it comes with a beam saber effect of the Sinanju variant. So this isn't just your typical type of saber effect, and neatly enough that the sabers are tucked into the wrist of the Sinanju itself, so you can actually deploy it and just slide it out of the wrist itself. So it's actually a really nice feature. Now you can't actually see it because it's so small, but you can actually just slide it into the wrist and you just lock it back in. So really that's a nice feature to have, so you don't have to actually have quite an annoying protruding saber. So for me, the Sinanju's design, it really looks nice. The stickers especially, it looks amazing, and I love the Sinanju. The Sinanju is one of my most favorite Gundams. My most favorite Gundam through the entire franchise. Now with the amount of stuff you'll be getting, you can customize it in so many ways, but unfortunately due to the sheer weight of some of the extra stuff, for example like the sabers can be attached to the shield itself, but the Sinanju is gonna have a hard time of actually holding the shield when it's attached with so much of these sabers. So as you can see, I actually combined them to make a double-sided axe saber. So it comes with its own grenade launcher, and the beam rifle, as similar as with the MG Sinanju, you can actually modify it to the beam rifle with a grenade launcher, and even the beam rifle with the bazooka. Now might I remind you that putting the beam saber the beam rifle combined with the bazooka, the sheer weight of it is extremely heavy. It cannot hold on. So if you want to actually make the pose that you see in the box art where the Sinanju is holding that ginormous beam rifle with the bazooka with a singular hand, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Trust me, I've tried. You actually need another stand to actually support the ginormous beam rifle, including with the bazooka. So it's actually really big and it's really heavy. Now there are some ups and downs when it comes to this kit. I will actually explain to you later in this segment of the video, where there are some downsides that I find a bit disappointing. As you can see, it is an extremely large gun with its own bazooka, which can be stretched with its own scope. It looks really nice, especially if you spray it with a bit of gunmetal black. I can tell that this gun will look even more awesome. As you can see, it is heavy. Even with my fingers, you can see easily slip down. So try not to actually expect this thing to hold up this ginormous thing single-handedly, like in the box art. Quite disappointing, but yeah. Overall, there are some ups and downs. The Sinanju overall is a really cool model. Now, as you can see, even the bazooka itself can be attached to the shield. Now, again, due to the sheer weight of the bazooka combined with the sabers, it's not gonna hold up, but it does look cool, not gonna lie. Fortunately, some of them is just too heavy. Now, unfortunately, my camera had a bit of problem there. It kind of exceeded through the recording time. So yeah, that's basically some of the features that you have. You can actually attach the bazooka to the shield. And you can actually just use the bazooka as a separate type part. So really. Now, let's check into the model itself, shall we? So here's the model itself. Let's check how the movement works. And the head can actually move 360 nicely, even though with those giant collars, it actually can move well. Now the chest can open up into three openings. There's basically three parts that can be moved. Now the hands itself can actually rotate. Now because of the size of the shoulder, I'm just going to demonstrate you how the movement is without the shoulder. Now with the shoulder itself, you actually have to hold the shoulder and the arm itself to actually move 360. Pretty hard method to do, but I don't think that's something that you should be fiddling with when it comes to the 360 movement. Now, have you noticed that yes, there's actually a part within the shoulder itself that can actually be attached to the shield, but I prefer you to just slide it in to the arm itself, because if you attach the shield to the shoulder, it just doesn't look nice and it's not that sporting. And the body itself doesn't have that much movement, pretty solid as I can say. And the nice thing about the Sinanju, it actually comes with its own spring type, basically a spring to actually support the circulation of the, basically some of the parts of it is basically a spring type part that's basically on the waist. Now the hand itself can actually move outwards, as you can see, and it can be moved as so and upwards, so even with those ginormous shoulders. Now the legs can actually even make a split. Now with this Sinanju, I'm quite surprised that it is a really rock solid kit. It's pretty hard to actually move most of the joints, and that's actually a pretty good thing if you're that type of person that doesn't like to fiddle with their Gundam that much and just wants to make it in a one singular position. So with the Gundam itself, as you can see, the legs can flip, can move. And so, and the nice thing about the frame, basically the clear plastic, is that you can actually see how the frame moves, how the skeleton frame moves up and down, side to side, so you can see the detail within it. But I find that it's a bit not in my taste. So again, with how the legs move, it's really nice. Again, the movement for the kit, even with the feet itself, can move side to side, up and down, really nicely and well, solid, no loose joints or whatsoever. As I said, this thing is rock solid. None of the pieces were falling off anywhere, except for one part of the kit itself. Is basically some of the sharp bits on the shoulders. Yeah, they tend to fall off quite easily. Now this is where the part that I like the most. It is the wings. They can actually be retracted as you open the wings and can move quite nicely. And as you can see, the tanks that can enable the Sinanju to move faster. Now onwards to what makes this kit unlikable to me. And now the one thing that I hate and dislike about this kit so much is the hands. Bandai, it is an old kit, so it is excusable, but then again, this is the Gundam base limited. I would thought that Bandai would at least change the hands, but unfortunately they didn't. The hands on this kit is so horrible, and I would dare say that the Wing Verka's hands have a much more better time. Actually, the Wing for Cup, because it's a much more newer model of this year. It was actually released in December 2020, so it would have a much more easier time of holding the weapons than the Sinanju does. Unfortunately, even some of the parts of the bazooka is ridiculously loose. Basically the backside of the bazooka is loose. Even as you can see, that part is also loose, and even the scope to the bazooka. I would usually, if there's loose parts, I would just smack that sucker into one position so that it doesn't move that much. And as you can see, it took me quite a frustrating amount of time to actually make it hold its gun, its bazooka. So overall, if you want to pose with this specific kit, might I remind you, you're gonna have a hard time of making this kit actually hold its own weapons, which is really ridiculous, because the Gundam base is usually, they basically remade the old kits with another variant. So to me, it would have been nice at least Bandai to repair some of the flaws of the kit, like for example adding a new type of hand, so it gives that newer Gundam base feel. If you buy the Gundam base, you will feel that it is an improved version of the old MG Sinanju, because I myself have an old MG Sinanju, and literally it's the same thing as the old MG Sinanju. The only difference is it has in my opinion, an abysmal clear. I really don't like the colorization of the clear. It would have been nice if they had a bit of color, for example like the red on the 00 Quanta, or at least with purple, or at least gray in my opinion, because just pure white, it doesn't look nice at all to the Sinanju. It does look cool, not going to lie. The Sinanju has always been one of those kits, if you put in one singular pose, it will look awesome, especially with those stickers that are foil and just cool looking in general. And as you can see, the 360 is quite, I hope you appreciate the 360, because it took me quite a long time to actually make the 360 because of the hands itself to hold the gun. Now you can't actually attach the bazooka to the beam rifle, so because of the sheer weight of it. Now as I mentioned, the kit looks awesome, I'm not gonna lie about that, but some of the features about this kit just makes me want to get the older MG rather than the newer one. So I hope you enjoyed this review as much as I do. And if you're that type of person, again, it's based on personal preference. If you like the clear version rather than the normal standard Sinanju, then this kit's for you. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Enjoy the 360. Do like, share and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. And I hope to see you in the next video. Ciao!